This is a training session regarding entering and processing equipment usage logs. Charging costs to a piece of equipment is accomplished by posting costs from other modules in the system. For example, in accounts payable, we can enter an invoice we received for fueling or lubricating our equipment. Through the payroll system, we may enter a time card for an employee who repaired a piece of equipment and charge his time to a service category on the piece of equipment. In the General Ledger module, we can enter transactions to increase or decrease costs to the piece of equipment. However, the income for the equipment must be entered through the Equipment Costing module. Usage of the piece of equipment is tracked on a usage log, an equipment timesheet, if you will, that indicates how long a piece of equipment was used, on what job, and on what day. These equipment usage logs can be entered and processed by selecting Usage Logs from the Equipment Costing menu. Here we have the equipment log entry process. On the right-hand side are listed all of the log entries that have been inserted into the highlighted batch, but have not yet been posted. On the left-hand side is a list of batches, along with buttons for proof listing and posting our equipment log entries.
To create a new log entry, we click the Add button.
The system asks which piece of equipment we are entering this log for. We can select our piece of equipment here. The system will now ask for a meter reading. The end and start meter readings are not required fields. These will usually only be used if we are tracking equipment usage via an odometer or other type of time meter that is connected to the piece of equipment. In many cases, we will go straight to the total field and enter the total number of hours the piece of equipment was used. We then need to indicate whether we are going to use the internal or rental charge rate for the hours. Let's select the internal rate, and the system will automatically calculate the net charge amount. We can, if we desire, adjust that net charge amount by selecting this field and entering an additional dollar amount we wish to charge to this piece of equipment. Here we can indicate where that piece of equipment was used. Usually we charge the equipment usage to a job. So we select Job and indicate which job and cost code we will be charging the equipment usage to. Now we can attach a comment to the usage log. We could enter the job name or any other comment we wish. The default usage date will be today's date, but we can change it. The location is where the piece of equipment is located at the end of this log entry. Here we can optionally enter the employee ID of the person who operated this piece of equipment. We can select from a list of our employees. Now we click the OK button, and the usage log information is saved. All of the fields are now cleared in anticipation of entering another usage log. If we're finished entering our logs, we can press the Cancel button, and the entry screen will be closed. The system will now display our entered log with all the other usage logs in the list box. At this point, we can print a proof listing of all the logs in the batch by tagging the batch and clicking on the Print Proof Listing button. We can change or set new proof listing limits, but normally we do not do this when we are printing a proof listing. Then we can print the proof listing report. Once we have reviewed the report for accuracy, we can then post our usage log entries. Click on the Post button. The system will ask us for a fiscal period. We can then accept the current fiscal period or change it to any fiscal period we desire. We then click on the Post button and the posting reports will print. These reports summarize the usage entries and all of the transactions which have been posted to the General Ledger transaction file. At this point, we have one last chance to look over our reports and make sure our figures are valid. We can then click the Finish button, or if we click the Undo button, the system will return the batch to the unposted state. This concludes this training session on entering and processing equipment log entries.